What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Weekly GCap, the only source you'll ever need to catch up on all the gaming news from the last week. As always, we got quite a couple stories to go through, so let's go ahead and get right into this. First things first, Test Drive Solar Crown Unlimited was delayed. Quote, "We know that you want a launch date, and we understand your eagerness. We share your eagerness. Although a launch date has been considered several times, we want to take the time needed to ensure that your experience of Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown is as smooth, stable, and fun as can be. Many of you have already pointed this out to us. Take the time to release a game that matches your expectations. That's why we're working flat out on several aspects, including the stability of the server infrastructure and optimizing the game's performance. When we feel like these two areas are stable, we'll be delighted to share the long-awaited launch date with you, then cross the finish line and start our adventure together," end quote. So this one is pretty unfortunate because it's one that I've been looking forward to for quite some time, but again, bad game forever bad, good, you would delay game, eventually good. Even I can't remember how that quote goes anymore. Next up, the port of Biomutant for Nintendo Switch release date was announced. It's coming from Nintendo Life. Quote, "THQ Nordic has finally unveiled the release date for its open world RPG Biomutant on Switch. It's only a few months away too, launching on 14th of May 2024. The game will come with all previously released DLC and will cost $39.99 USD at launch. Again, this one releases May 14th, and honestly, I had a lot of fun with this game, so I can highly recommend it. Next up, Baldur's Gate 3 will release on 4 discs for the Xbox Series version. This coming from Very AFK on X. Quote, "The Xbox retail version of Baldur's Gate 3 will indeed have 4 discs, since we're 500 megabytes over the limit for 3. Only option would have been to cut some content out, but that didn't make sense, so confirming 4, end quote. This is the kind of dedication to, you know, not only like physical video games, but also just like long-term preservation that you'd love to see, right? It's just, the publisher is going that extra step, literally including a whole other Blu-ray. It's something that can hold upwards of 50 gigabytes on the Xbox side of things. For PlayStation, it's a bit different. Those can hold like 100, but on the Xbox side of things, I mean, that's still 50 gigabytes. They're printing all this just because they're 500 megabytes over, you know, the limit for 3. That, round of applause. That makes me happy. Next up, Ghost of Tsushima is coming to PC. This is coming from PlayStation Blog. Quote, "Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut is coming to PC. We at Nixes are thrilled to collaborate with the talented team at Sucker Punch Productions who created this critically acclaimed open-world action adventure. We are excited to bring Jin story to a new audience and to bring a Sucker Punch title to PC for the first time. The PC version of Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut includes the full game, the Iki Island expansion, and the cooperative online multiplayer Legends mode. For the past year, the team at Nixes has been working hard to bring the Sucker Punch in-house engine technology to PC and implement PC features such as unlocked frame rates, a variety of graphic settings and presets, and customizable mouse and keyboard controls. You can wishlist and pre-purchase Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut now on Steam and the Epic Games Store. If you pre-purchase the game, you'll get access to the following early in-game unlocks when the game releases on 16 May. New Game Plus Horse, Traveler's Attire, and the Broken Armor Dice from Baku's shop," end quote. So again, this releases May 16th, and I tell you firsthand, I mean, I've already, like, you know, double dipped on the PlayStation side of things with the PS4 and PS5 version, but looks like I'm triple dipping here with the PC version. Next up, I just wanted to let you guys know that the Princess Peach Showtime demo is available now. The full game releases March 22nd, but if you want to get a taste for the game before it comes out, this is the perfect time to do so. Next up, as if we're not all feeling old enough, well, this will make you feel old. The Nintendo Switch has officially celebrated its 7th birthday, its 7th anniversary. It released March 3rd, 2017. At this point, we've had the Switch Lite, the Switch OLED, and oh man, not even to talk about the amazing game library, with one of the launch titles literally being Breath of the Wild, and then getting its absolute, I mean, it was literally nominated for Game of the Year last year, the sequel, Tears of the Kingdom, and Mario Odyssey. Oh, and then Kirby, you know, got his, like, first 3D platformer game, which was just something that I've been waiting for literally decades. Luigi's Mansion 3, the Splatoon 2 and 3, like, there's just, it goes on and on. There's so many amazing games for the Switch, and, man, not to mention all the indies as well. Arguably the largest library of indies available on any console or any platform outside of, you know, probably like PC, but otherwise, there's just so many amazing indie games there, and overall, man, the Switch is an amazing system. Next up, just a reminder that Mario Day is on March 10th. We might see some new announcements. There's already some sales going on. You know, who knows? We might just get a simple tweet, but regardless, whether we do or don't get any big announcements, regardless, you know, Mario Day is always a perfect excuse to just kick back, play some classic Mario games, whether you're going back and playing Mario 1 on the NES, Super Mario World on the SNES, Mario 64 on the N64, or playing something as recent as Mario Odyssey. It's perfect time to play some Mario. Next up, so this one is only temporary, but Octopath Traveler was delisted from the Switch eShop. This coming from GamesIndustry.biz, quote, "Nintendo has confirmed that Octopath Traveler's delisting on the eShop is temporary. On its customer support page, the publisher noted that as of March 1st, the game will be temporarily unavailable on the eShop and My Nintendo Store, but will be available to purchase again soon. It clarified that users who have previously purchased the game can still re-download it from the eShop. As reported by VG247, there was no announcement when the 2018 Square Enix title was delisted by by Nintendo and is still available to purchase on other digital storefronts such as Steam. Gematsu noted on social media that the listing may be due to the game's publisher being changed from Nintendo to Square Enix on the eShop in recent months. GamesIndustry.biz has reached out to Nintendo for further clarification, but at this time, there hasn't been any more updates to this. So again, this is only temporary, so this isn't something like we gotta worry about. We don't gotta panic and start spiking up the prices on the secondhand market, y'all. The game will be back. Next up, Embracer is selling Saber Interactive, and there's some really happy news at the end of this. So, this coming from Eurogamer, quote, Embracer Group is set to sell Saber Interactive in a deal worth up to $500 million according to a report from Bloomberg. Saber will continue to work on its remake of Star Wars The Knights of the Old Republic after development was removed from Aspyr in 2022. This deal is just the latest from Embracer as part of its restructuring program that's already seen over 1,000 staff laid off and studios closed. Saber will become a privately owned company of around 3,500, a source told Bloomberg. The company was originally bought by Embracer in 2020 for $525 million, meaning it's potentially made a loss overall. The $500 million figure is said to include an option for Saber to bring along multiple Embracer subsidiaries. Saber is best known for its SnowRunner and World War Z games. Its next game will be Expeditions, a Mud Runner game launching on the 5th of March, which means it's available now. And according to the company website, with Space Marine 2, Jurassic Park Survival heading out, and John Carpenter's Toxic Commando all set for release in 2024. End quote. So the most exciting part of this, to me at least, is the fact that the Knights of the Old Republic remake is back in development, or is going to be continuing work, because obviously for a while we weren't sure what the fate of this game was going to be. Was it going to disappear? Is it, what's going to happen to it? But man, just seeing the fact that it's still going to be in the works is makes me so happy. Obviously, I feel like I speak for a lot of people when I say that game is super nostalgic for me. It's one of my favorite, not just Star Wars games, but RPGs of all time. So super excited to see how that comes out, and I'm just happy for Saber that, because we know how it goes with some of these things with like Embracer closing studios down, so the fact that they're still going to be around just makes me really happy. Next up, Toys for Bob is going independent, and this is one of those stories where I genuinely jumped out of my seat, threw my fist in the air, and screamed yes, and I'm not even kidding, I genuinely did that. For those that don't know, Toys for Bob are the ones behind your Crash Bandicoot 4 and the Spyro Reignited trilogy, and for those that don't know, well, I grew up with the PS1 and PS2 generation, so to say that I have some nostalgia for those characters would be quite the understatement. So, I was worried for a while because I wasn't sure if we'd actually see anything more from them, in terms of the 3D platformer games, because for a while they've just been a sports studio for Call of Duty. But anyway, I'll stop my ramblings. Let's go ahead and read the quote directly from the website. This coming from toysforbob.com. Quote, we're thrilled to announce that Toys for Bob is spinning off as an independent game development studio. Over the years, we've inspired love, joy, and laughter for the inner child and all gamers. We pioneer new IP and hardware technologies in Skylanders. We raised the bar for best-in-class remasters in Spyro Reignited trilogy. We've taken Crash Bandicoot to innovative, critically acclaimed new heights. With the same enthusiasm and passion, we believe that now is the time to take the studio and our future games to the next level. This opportunity allows us to return to our roots of being a small and nimble studio. To make this news even more exciting, we're exploring a possible partnership between our new studio and Microsoft, which is funny because they were technically already owned by Microsoft, but instead now it's going to be a partnership rather than Microsoft just flat out owning them. So, and while we're in the early days of developing our next new game and a ways away from making any announcements, our team is excited to develop new stories, new characters, and new gameplay experiences. Our friends at Activision and Microsoft have been extremely supportive of our new direction, and we're confident that we will continue to work closely together as part of our future. So keep your horns on and your eyes out for more news. Thank you to our community and players for always supporting us through our journey. We can't wait to share updates on our new adventure as an indie studio. Talk to you soon. One thing worth highlighting, right at the end there. So keep your horns on and your eyes out for more news. Are they working on a Spyro game? Are they planning on it? Is there... I don't know. I'm just saying. But regardless, round of applause. I'm so happy for Toys for Bob. I love this company so much. I'll definitely be keeping my eyes on them, and I'll definitely let you guys know as soon as we know what they're working on, because, man, yeah, I'll be following them close. Next up, Warner Bros. Is doubling down on live service games for some reason. This is coming from GameSpot. Quote, during a recent Morgan Stanley speaking event, Warner Bros. Discovery Gaming boss JB Perrette discussed some of the company's strategy for gaming going forward, and it includes more live service mobile and free-to-play games. Quote, we're doubling down on games as an area where we think there is a lot more growth opportunity that we can tap into with the IP that we have and some of the capabilities we have on the studio, where we're uniquely positioned as both a publisher and a developer of games. Brett said WBD's recent gaming output is focused on AAA games for console, and that's great when a game like Hogwarts Legacy sells 22 million copies and becomes the best-selling game of the year, but this kind of success is never guaranteed, and what Brett said was a volatile market. He pointed out that one of WBD's latest big games, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, was a disappointment for the company. which is interesting because right now they're doubling down on live service games, even though the latest one was a huge disappointment. Anyway, so the plan going forward, he said, is to help reduce volatility by focusing on core franchises and bringing at least some of them to the mobile and free-to-play space, as well as continuing to invest in live service games that people play and spend money on over a long period of time. As well, WBD generate more consistent revenue, he said, going on to tease that WBD has some new mobile free-to-play games coming this year. What is this company doing, man? Also worth noting is that just because WBD may push into new places, that doesn't necessarily mean it will stop making big single-player AAA games, which is good to hear. Quote, rather than just launching a one-and-done console game, how do we develop a game around, for example, a Hogwarts Legacy or Harry Potter that is a live service where people can live and work and build and play that world on an ongoing basis, he said. If it sounds like you're falling asleep as I'm reading this, it's because I am, sorry. Perret went on to say that WBD is uniquely positioned because it has popular brands. He singled out Mortal Kombat, Game of Thrones, Harry Potter, and DC as its biggest, as well as 11 different internal game development studios. He also teased that WBD has a strategic investment plan to help make future games more successful, adding that the company just recently brought someone on to help with brand management and sustainability. So, man, do I really even need to talk about this one? I mean, we know why this is stupid, right? Like, live service games suck. Like, we all know that, right? I mean, like, in theory, like, when it comes to live service as a definition, like, live service games should be the perfect game. But we know how these companies work. Minimal effort, maximum return. So, I mean, again, this all just kind of speaks for itself. Like, the current state of live service games suck. They could be a lot better, but as of now, they just suck. It's pretty sad when these companies also just view single-player games as being a one-and-done game. Like, it's so ignorant and so just, like, shows their lack of knowledge of the industry and what gamers actually want. It actually kind of disgusts me. And it's the reason that this morning I was literally playing on my PS2, and why yesterday I was still playing on my SNES, and why the day before that I was actually playing on my Atari. It's because those games weren't just designed to waste my time and money. It wasn't all just about a live service. It was about making a fun game. Yes, I was literally playing Asteroids on my Atari 2600 the other day, and I was having an absolute blast. These companies will never understand, but hey, there is still some amazing games even coming out of the AAA space, and, furthermore, we always got the indies. So I don't think all hope is lost. I just think that, well, all hope is lost for some of the higher-ups at some of these companies at the very least, the ones focusing on live services. Next up, we got a recap of the Xbox Partner Preview Showcase that happened the other day. This occurred on March 6th, 1 p.m. EST, and lasted for 29 minutes and 32 seconds. We're just going to run through everything that was announced. The Alters, no official release date. Creatures of Ava, coming in 2024. Final Fantasy XIV, the Xbox release, is happening March 21st. The first Berserker Kazan, no official release date. Frostpunk 2, coming July 25th of this year. Kunitsugami, Path of the Goddess, coming sometime in 2024. Monster Jam Showdown, coming in 2024. Persona 3 Reload DLC, Episode Aegis, The Answer, coming September of 2024. The Roblox expansion, Griefville X Chucky, is out now. The Sinking City 2 is coming in 2025. Sleight of Hand, no official date. Stalker, Legends of the Zone Trilogy, is out now. That shadow dropped and can highly recommend that. Tales of Kenzura Zao, coming April 23rd, and Unknown 9 Awakening, coming summer of this year. All around, it was basically just trailer after trailer, not any of, like, the talking like we'd see in some of these showcases. And honestly, them just going game to game to game, I really enjoyed the pace, and I was intrigued by literally everything that was shown here. So, yeah, awesome showcase. Next up, I just want to let you guys know that Astro Duel 2 is free on Epic Games. It is free from, well, now until March 14th at 11 a.m. EST, so redeem it while you can. Next up, we got the March Xbox Game Pass games for you guys, those being Warhammer 40,000 Bolt Gun for Cloud Console and PC, available now. Paw Patrol World for Cloud Console and PC, available now. SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated for Cloud Console and PC, March 12th. Control Ultimate Edition for Cloud Console and PC, coming March 13th. No More Heroes 3, Cloud Console and PC, March 14th. Lightyear Frontier, it's a game preview coming for Cloud Console and Xbox Series X and S on March 19th. That also happens to be a Day 1 Game Pass release. And then MLB The Show for Cloud and Console, coming March 19th. Once again, another Day 1 release. And it wasn't mentioned here, but it was already confirmed in that Xbox Business Event podcast that happened a couple weeks ago. Diablo 4 will be coming March 28th. And finally, Yuzu and Citra are shutting down permanently. This coming from The Verge, quote, just over a week ago, Nintendo sued the developers of the leading Nintendo Switch emulator Yuzu for facilitating piracy at a colossal scale. Now it appears that Yuzu will give up without a fight and give Nintendo everything it wanted, and it affects the Nintendo 3DS emulator Citra too. According to a joint filing, Tropic Haze has not only agreed to pay $2,400,000 to Nintendo, but also says Yuzu is primarily designed to circumvent and play Nintendo Switch games. The company agrees to be permanently enjoined from working on Yuzu, hosting Yuzu, distributing Yuzu's code or features, hosting websites and social media that promote Yuzu, or doing anything else that circumvents Nintendo's copyright protection. Oh, and it will surrender the yuzuemu.org domain name to Nintendo, agreed to delete not only its copies of Yuzu, but also all circumvention tools used for developing or using Yuzu, such as Tegra RCM GUI, Hecate, Atmosphere, Lockpick RCM, ND Dump Tool, NX Dump Fuse, and Tegra Explorer, and hand over any physical circumvention devices and modified Nintendo hardware to Nintendo. It also agrees to not delete or any other evidence that infringes Nintendo's IP rights. Yuzu and Citra developer Bunei confirmed in the Yuzu Discord that both the Nintendo Switch and Nintendo 3DS emulators are affected. Quote, "Hello Yuzuers and Citra fans, we write today to inform you that Yuzu and Yuzu support of Citra are being discontinued effective immediately. Yuzu and its team have always been against piracy. We started the projects in good faith out of passion for Nintendo and its consoles and games, and we're not intending to cause harm. But we see now that because our project can circumvent Nintendo's technological protection measures and allow users to play games outside of authorized hardware, we've led to extensive piracy. In particular, we have been deeply disappointed when users have used our software to leak game content prior to its release and ruin the experience for legitimate purchasers and fans. We've come to the decision that we cannot continue to allow this to occur. Piracy was never our intention, and we believe that piracy of video games and on video game consoles should end. Effective today, we'll be pulling our code repositories offline, discontinuing our Patreon accounts and Discord servers, and soon shutting down our websites. We hope our actions will be a small step toward ending piracy of all creators' works. Thank you for your years of support and for understanding our decision." End quote. And ever since this has gone up, yeah, everything has come down. The links on the GitHub, just all the downloads, like literally anything related to Yuzu or them, it's gone. I mean, granted, it's the internet. Nothing has truly ever gone from the internet, so you can always dig deep enough to find links or downloads for both Yuzu and Citra and all that, of course. And there's been a lot of confusion online as to why Citra was affected, and that's simply because Yuzu was, basically the agreement here was not only that the Yuzu team would stop working on Yuzu, but also that they just stopped, anything having to do with emulation, period. So they had to pull all their projects down. So this doesn't necessarily set a precedent for, a legacy emulation per se, but it does at least set the precedent for emulating current consoles, which I think that is totally fair, in my personal opinion. I do believe that it is good to have emulators in the works, at all times, whether a console is current or not, but having them widespread like this to where people are just kind of pirating stuff, I don't know, I don't necessarily agree with all of that. For me personally, I always say buy games for as long as they are actually commercially and legally available. After that, it's fair game, right? As soon as Nintendo stops selling Nintendo Switch games, I mean, sort of just treat it like the Wii U and the 3DS. At that point, you're not taking any money away from Nintendo, so who cares, Emulate, sail the 7 seas, do whatever you gotta do. And just in case any law officials are watching this, I'm not telling people to do this, I'm just stating my opinions or my perspectives on this. But when it comes to, current consoles and such like that, like for the Xbox Series X, the PS5, or the Switch, when it comes to, emulation and piracy and all that, yeah, I can't really support it from that front. Again, I think making efforts towards emulating the systems is a very good thing, as always, from a preservation and just from all of that perspective. But when it comes to piracy, I can understand things from that perspective, and I truly do think that's what Nintendo is after here, because, there's been a rocky history between Nintendo and emulation, but let's be honest, they host emulators on their own Nintendo Switch Online service. So I don't think in this instance that emulation was the main thing they were actually going after, because if that was the case, they probably would have already went after Ryujinx and all the other ones out there. But I truly do believe that it was just because of the piracy, and furthermore, I'm not one of those Switch 2 speculative Nintendo YouTubers. I hate seeing that stuff in my feed, but I am just going to say, since it has been rumored that the Nintendo Switch 2 will be fully backwards compatible with the Nintendo Switch, and a lot of the technology is going to be shared there, similar to how, the Wii was basically just like a beefed up GameCube, and the Wii U was just like a beefed up Wii, I think the Switch 2 might just end up being like a beefed up Switch, which is why they went after this in the first place, so then they can cut back on those piracy things before the next one came out. Remember how the R4 was a widespread thing back in the days of the DS? If that was nowadays, you already know Nintendo would have done something to in fact, no, when the 3DS came out, they already were doing things to circumvent the piracy there. Granted, you could still use like a DSR4 on your 3DS, but when it came to 3DS games, they made things a lot harder there. So I think this is just an example of them doing something like that before the next system releases, because why would they do this at the end of the generation, right? Again, maybe sure, since the Switch is still commercially viable, maybe they would have went after it regardless, but maybe this is just kind of like a sign of things to come with their next console. Not too sure, not going to speculate on it too much, because again, I hate all the stuff that I've been seeing in my YouTube feed about that as of late anyway, but yeah, there it is. RIP to Yuzu and Citra, especially Citra, man. Again, Yuzu, I can at least kind of understand with all the piracy stuff, it is still a commercially viable system, but Citra, that one hurts, but there is still a lot of amazing, other amazing 3DS emulators out there, so not all hope is lost, but, yeah, I don't know. Wishing the best to the Yuzu team, because, you know, they did do great stuff. But anyway, that is all the stories that I got for you guys this week. So now I'd definitely love to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts on everything that we talked about? Whether it's Yuzu and Citra just being no more. What about Mario Day coming up? You excited for it? Are you hoping that they announce something big? You're going to be trying out the Princess Peach Showtime demo? How about the fact that Nintendo Switch is literally 7 years old this year? Or the Xbox Showcase? Any specific game from there that you're looking forward to? Just whatever it is, whatever you're thinking, I would definitely love to hear from you guys. But anyway, this is Weekly GCap. No episodes go live every single Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern, so if we're going to catch them as soon as they go live, well then, I know when to be here. But anyway, that's going to do it for me, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Have an amazing day and an amazing weekend. Stay beautiful. I love you all. Peace.